Now, Michael Jackson, he knew that he was in trouble. And he came out on 9/10/2001 and gave a New World Order talk. And, well, of course, you know, his family, when questioned as to why Michael died, they said the Illuminati killed him. Now, whenever somebody says that, don't take that serious, because the Illuminati is a catch-all phrase. It's not the Bavarian Illuminati. It's just a catch term that came out in our current time because conspiracy theory is a new science. So now we just kind of use it as a catch-all phrase for the Brotherhood. Well, Michael Jackson hired a roboticist to transfer his soul into the robot so that he wouldn't have to die. And so that when we did have human cloning up to a proper potential, he could then transmit his soul into that body, like Avatar. This is why I often don't think that Barack Obama is actually Akhenaten himself, but just Akhenaten's clone. And you can see that, you know, the comparison is pretty, right? And I have this superimposed like the Barack Akhenaten pictures. But what happened was a month after Michael Jackson's death, now when we say death, you know, he was shown climbing out of the back of the coroner's vehicle. I don't know if you guys followed this that close. He was shown pacing around in the back of the room as they were doing the news story about his death. You can go see all this. I've got it saved in a file called Weird Stuff on my YouTube. And then next thing you know, Michael Jackson's hiring this roboticist, and this was years back, to transmit his soul into this body. But then Michael Jackson goes off to a very rich store, I forgot the name of that, but a very expensive store, and he starts buying all kinds of multi-million-dollar things there, and including King Tut's gold sarcophagus, or a replica. And now the guy following him around with the camera, this is the same guy who filmed him holding the baby over the balcony. Same guy's in the room with Michael Jackson, and he asked Michael, well, you know, why are you buying all this stuff? You know, are you going to get buried in King Tut's tomb? And he said, no, this is for my other mansion. This is for my other mansion, which was never disclosed where this other mansion was. But if you start to take this story and you start to follow it quite a bit, as I was telling you about iScott being able to send Doritos commercials to Ursa Major, or mind transfer technologies, we are just now becoming capable. I'm glad you brought up Michael, because I had forgotten.
You can't forget about Michael.
Yeah. I personally believe that he is sitting back.
What about Elvis?
Oh.
I got a whole other story about Elvis, but you'll have to talk to Paul Lafley about that one.
We're just biological robots. So.
Well, the thing of it was, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the entire SG-1 characters are actually the Obama administration, and this was put out to you by the, yeah, and this was produced by the United States Space Force. Check the credits. Check the credits. All right, and what's this character? Apophis. Right? So now Obama's like not an Apophis. What the heck? All right, but CERN now, we've got nations, Israel begging to give them billions of dollars. We've got nations all over the world giving CERN billions of dollars. Do you think this is to find the Higgs boson? Is this to find the God particle? Why are nations paying so much money into this thing? A Large Hadron Collider. What is it? It's named Atlas and Alice. So we've got the king of Atlantis, Atlas, and Alice through the looking glass, down through the portal, right? Well, one thing that most people don't know about CERN, now they are about to announce whether or not they've actually found the God particle or not. The latest news is we're about to announce whether or not we figured anything out. But they have another contraption attached to CERN that many people don't know about or even discuss or anything, but it's the LHC grid. And the LHC grid is a massive 200,000 interlocked computers that have all their own direct fiber optic lines, and it is the most massive computation device ever been created on planet Earth. Now the LHC grid has been moving in its computations, and it moved from petabytes to exabytes. Now of course none of us know what the heck that is, but an exabyte is 1 quintillion bytes. So you thought you had something with a gigabyte, right? No. An exabyte is 1 quintillion. Quintillion. How do you say that? Quintillion? I mean, it's like, oh my God.
How could the United States stop building their own super collider?
Well, because of ants, right? No, there was the RIC, and the RIC, the relativistic heavy ionic collider, which collided gold particles and folded space-time, which they still haven't figured out, right? So that's another story. But yeah, we are absolutely working with time travel through the American studies, which is the relativistic heavy ionic collider. The Large Hadron Collider of CERN, actually, with its grid, pushing exabytes. Now, it would take 5 exabytes to store the entire written catalog of planet Earth. Every written word can be stored in 5 exabytes. All right, that's how massive this is. But what they found is they were doing what they call, there was a different group known as the Blue Brain Project, and they're the ones working on mind transfer technology. They found that they can transmit your soul, they put in quotes, into a computer. But this computer has to be capable of processing exabytes. Guess what? CERN is. So now if you compound this, you take it together and you say, okay, we've got the LHC grid capable of mind transfer technology. We have ionospheric heaters such as iSCAT that can shoot commercials to Doritos to Ursa Major. Then we could then take like Avatar, transmit our souls into this computer and shoot it off to the next star as long as you had something there waiting to receive it. So what could we have waiting to receive it? Well, currently, they almost evacuated the International Space Station as the Russian rocket blew up on the launch pad or crashed back down to Earth before it could come up, and they weren't going to be able to get any more supplies up to the ISS or the ISIS. And so they were going to evacuate the International Space Station. And this would have left 6 adult stem cells and Robonaut II, hanging out with 4 iPhones. Now these 6 adult stem cells that are sitting up on the International Space Station, launched by the last Atlantis space shuttle, which was the 33rd launch of this space shuttle, which was supposed to be the launch 233, but then they moved it, switched it, put it backwards, and they put 234 before 233. It was very confusing, couldn't figure it out. But Robonaut II is now up and functioning in the International Space Station and hanging out with 6 adult stem cells that were launched up with the iPhones. This was the last mission of the space shuttle. Now these 6 adult stem cells are there for human longevity. They're there to study human longevity. And Robonaut II is a telepresence robot, which means you can transmit yourself into it. So that's what's going on in the International Space Station at this point. I think there's lots more to our story than meets the eye. And the programming that they are conditioning all of us to is to the dark hero and a warrior type mentality. I think that we've reached the end of this portion of the story of E.T. and the transhumanist agenda. And we should all take a quick pause before I come back and tell you. Well, let me go ahead and go through this real fast. Okay, so the elite began building a global society. And they were building new structures, new cities, and preparing for this new global society. Each of these cities are actually extraterrestrial because they can launch into space. There's Astana in Kazakhstan, Canberra in Australia, and of course, DC in America we have. But the newer cities that they're putting up, well, first of all, we're led by this man right here. Now, Henry Kissinger set out to get the UN control over, well, the world, and he had set up 10 regions of America for the 10 regional governors to control. And of course, Barack Obama has just now announced that he has the legislation set and they are picking the 10 regional governors. This was, in coordination with Richard Nixon, that they set up this UN regional zones. But Henry Kissinger was the main overseer of the city of Astana. And Astana, that means threshold, and is a new city of the strangest city you can imagine. Now from the air, Astana is set up as an ancient seal of Solomon to find spirits. It actually looks just like this. And this is the Bicentennial Mall in Nashville, which is also designed exactly as a Seal of Solomon to bind spirits. Then you get above Canberra in Australia, the next global governance location, and of course it looks like a Seal of Solomon to bind spirits. So I've been tracking these different cities as the New World Order 21st century capitals, and they are preparing these as the new city-states to take over once the catastrophes or whatever calamity that they're intending will bring about. Here are the seals. You can see the symbol, you see the curvature, and then these break down into a star sign that can be tracked back to, I believe it was Sirius. And Solomon had designed 72 of these seals to bind the different spirits that he had conjured, the demons as they called them. And you will very quickly see that these two can be compared very easily. You'll see the curvature, the line, and then this here coming up, there's actually an obelisk over here that stands up. Each of the things are actually included in there, and so they are designing the new cities to be seals of demons.
Where was Astana?
Astana is in Kazakhstan. They're actually building the first indoor city there right now. One of the richest places, you know, that's Dubai, and or no, I'm sorry, Dubai is the other one that I was tracking was as one of the same. Now Dubai is announcing that they will be the leader in privatized space programs. And of course, what's in Dubai? Atlantis, right? Okay, so... Boy, I don't feel like I concluded this on a great plot because I wanted to get deeper and deeper into what the solutions are. So I want to close this up and we're running out of time. So let's leave that there. You are living on a planet now, and I'll just give you my final statements on this, where human cloning is an absolute potential and probability. The elite of our world now see that they have the ability to transfer their minds into a cloned body. Therefore, eugenics works for them. They can kill off all of us and need to kill off all of us because they're going to live forever. They are certain of this. They've had all the evidence from their ancient past to lead them and guide them forward into this belief. They are now seeking the anti-universe, trying to find ways to break holes into it using CERN. And get to the other dimension. They are looking at ways of traveling through space without a body, and they are designing ancient Seals of Solomon as new city plans in their new global world order. And all of it is going exactly according to plan, and this is only because we are all programmed and conditioned to respond in a particular manner. And so all of the television shows, the different methods that we have been given to fight these people are exactly the wrong answers. So going up against riot squads at with shields and whatnot is stupid, fruitless, and futile. I've been there, I've done it, I've been to the IMF WTO protests, 500,000 people gathered together to say they were against these organizations. What did the news say? Angry protesters fighting cops in the streets. And there was not a lick of violence in Washington, D.C. while I was there. But somehow the media found a story to show violence at this protest, even though there wasn't any. Unless, maybe somewhere off in a corner, somewhere, they found the violence. And then they made sure that that was the only picture in every newspaper all across the United States. Even though there were thousands of photographers and news crews there, one photo was shown throughout all of the news. They are programming us to be these angry, rebellious characters. They are constantly predicting this, programming it into the Hollywood mainstream so that we look at things and we want to oppose them. And what they are not doing is guiding us to our own synchronistic selves, to the fact that we are guided by the divine, that we actually all have a soul's purpose that is there for us to follow, and it has been usurped, stolen, and taken away through religion and finances. Money is a spell that denied you God. And now we all believe and think that that's the only method of salvation. And so we consistently and constantly go back to the elite to try and save ourselves when they want nothing but us dead. So we need to turn our tail and move away from this aggressive opposition, and we start to move towards what we're calling the friendship agenda.